Good morning everyone, and thank you for joining me. So today's talk is going to be about the failed tanks in Ukraine and how this has led to the imminency, if that's a word, of the air campaign that is, it could be weeks, it could be days away in Ukraine, and how that's going to escalate things. Excuse me. As a backdrop though, I got a message this morning from my friend in Ukraine. He sent me an article that I'll come to at the end of the video, and he just sent me the article. He said, "Hey Sean, look, you was right again." Now, he sent me an article about Argentina and how they're bolstering their military and how this ties into the Falkland Islands, oil, and Antarctica. Guys, everything's about Antarctica, okay? Everything else is just, it's just condiments. Guys, if you're liking my videos, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do all the stuff at the bottom. It's just a little touch for your thumb. It means a lot to me when you do that. So, guys, let's just begin. Also, there's a lot of stuff I didn't cover yesterday, so I think there may be 3 videos coming out today. Anyway, we'll see what happens. So, I've done videos before on the air campaign. What I want to really focus on now is why this is happening and the absolute failures of NATO kit and equipment. So cast your minds back to like last year or something, maybe even before, when all the news was there. It was all the news was out about US A1 Abrams tanks, US main battle tanks going to Ukraine. They're gonna they're going to destroy the Russian tanks, they're going to do this, they're going to do that, they're going to do this. And then, and then it was, in fact, actually, I think it was a British Challenger tank was announced first. The British are sending their Challenger 2 main battle tank, and you've got all these, you had all these, these toffs, and if they're reporting on military stuff in the UK, look at them and you're like, dude, you're a toff. You've no idea what you're talking about. You're probably an aristocrat, and you're just a toff. Anyway. So, I mean that in the nicest possible way. But then you had these people saying, yes, the British Challenger 2 main battle tank with its 120mm armour will cut through the Russian. And I was thinking, okay, well, let's see that, because what you're not taking into consideration is ground and the use of smaller drones. But anyway, so then the British Challenger was announced, the Abrams was announced, and then all of a sudden, no. It's the Leopard tank that's going to change everything. It's the Leopard tank. They need the Leopard tank. So what happened to all these tanks, guys? What happened to them? Well, if you ask the Russians, if you go and look at their Victory Day parade, you can kind of see a lot of them in, in the Red Square. So 2 things, guys, I can identify this as: drones and ground. So we need to understand the difference now between drones. You've got big Global Hawk, fixed wing, really expensive jet powered aircraft that are unmanned. You've also got little like $10 things you can go and buy from B&M or wherever. So all that sort of stuff encompasses drones. So when people talk about drones, it's like, what do you actually mean by drone? Do you mean a quadcopter? Do you mean a fixed wing? Do you mean a handheld fixed wing? Does it have a parachute to land? Can you hand land it? Does it just, and some of these drones, they just crash land. So there's a huge spectrum when people say drones. The ones I want to focus on today are in fact, I'll tell you the exact price is $500. So we'll say $500 and below, quadcopters. So that's what we're focusing on today. They can carry about 2 kilos, a 2 kilo payload. So quickly then, A1 Abrams tank, these things weigh like 60 tons. They're, I can't find an exact price for these things because it varies wildly with what optics you've got, what equipment you've got inside that. But at the low end of the spectrum, they're about 3 to 3.5 million. High end, you're looking at like 10 million. Challenger 2 main battle tank, you're looking at 71 tons and 4.2 million pounds for one of these things. Leopard 2 tank, they're 62 tons, and a used one will set you back 5.7 million euros. So these things are, they're pretty expensive. Let's just look at the weights. 60 ton, 72 ton, 62 ton, respectively. A1 Abrams, Challenger, Leopard. These things are too heavy to operate in the countryside in Ukraine. Ukraine has a very high water table, which is why it's good for farming. It's an agricultural powerhouse. when you have a high water table, that means the top bit's sloshy. So it's good for growing stuff because you get lots of I think osmosis or something in the roots. You know, really good for growing stuff, really good for farming, not good for tank warfare. In fact, it's actually terrible for tank warfare. So you get a lot of mud, you get these things bogged down. How do you recover in the Challenger's case, how do you recover a 71-ton tank? Don't forget, it's in a place that's bogged down, so it'll be in a place that'll be difficult to get to by definition, otherwise it wouldn't be bogged down. So you need something else that's a lot heavier than 71 tons, to go in there and to be able to pull that out. Well, guys, it's practically impossible. When I was in the military, we got I'll say a Land Rover. We got a Land Rover stuck in the desert. You just couldn't get it out. We had to call in a Chinook helicopter to lift it out. You know. But I don't think that there's no helicopters that are going to be able to, first of all, fly over there and lift it. It's just not even. It's impossible to even consider that. So that's the ground. Okay, it's just not. You can't operate these heavy tanks in this ground with a high water table. So, you know, these things are fine operating in the desert, on hard rocks, with support, with logistics, when they've got engineers in and around them that know how to service these vehicles. But the reality is, when these things come bogged down, let's just consider, this is without even putting the enemy factor into it. You get bogged down in somewhere in Ukraine, you're fully bogged down, and then you break a transmission, break something on the vehicle, break something on the engine, on the transmission, you break a vital part. How are you going to repair that vital part when it's bogged down? You can't. It becomes very, very difficult. And then you add into the mix there, people doing field repairs on the job. Once you do a field repair and you bring it back to the workshop, wherever that may be, and the engineer looks at it, he's like, dude, look, you've done this repair, so you've cut this out and you've welded that there, so I need to change all this now. So you see the series of events that are leading to further problems. And again, you'll have manufacturers' guidance imposed on these people, and I didn't know this was such a thing. Look at the caveats with the weapons that were imposed. So I've no doubt that there'll be caveats with these tanks. Only use manufacturers' parts, only serviced by a qualified engineer, and all these things are just adding to the problem of using these tanks. NATO main battle tanks are very well armoured on the front. That's how they were designed. They were designed as you're moving forwards to fire. So the front bit of I think I may refocus. Yeah, so the front bit of the tank is really strong, it's really tough, it's really heavy. Now, excuse me, but the tracks are not really well armoured. The tracks from the side, they're really vulnerable. The communications kit, the antennas, the stuff that's sticking out the sides, that's very vulnerable. The optics, that's very vulnerable. So, these things now become really susceptible to cheap drones. And when I say cheap drones, if you consider the price of these things, like they range from, what did we say, 3 million to, 3 million, 4 million and 5 million respectively. The Russians are using, and I'll put the links to all this, guys, in the description. The Russians are using cheap $500 drones to take out these tanks. Guys, it's unbelievable. So NATO are sending, a 3 million tank. Here you go, Ukraine, there's your 3 million tank. And the Russians are spending $500 and taking it out. Guys, I said this to the MOD, years ago. I said, guys, listen, we're going to move into this new phase of warfare. Nobody listened. I did a video recently, and I mentioned that the UK are donating 1,000 drones to Ukraine, and they're trying to give the Ukrainians this capability, but they're paying, I think I worked out, each drone they're paying £15,000 for. So even at this level, we can't compete with, they're paying $500 for something and it's working, and we're developing something that may or may not work and we're paying $15,000. Guys, it's absolutely wild. Also, with these cheap drones that are readily available in the UK, do any of you guys think that there could be someone in the UK thinking, hey, do you know what? That's a good idea, putting an explosive charge in a drone. Anyone in the UK? Do you think there's any groups in the UK that may have the capacity to do that? I don't know, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Soft targets. Remember, I did the top 10 on soft targets. I think this could be a way to, you know, strike those soft targets. So that's why the tanks have failed in Ukraine, and that's why the air war is imminent now, because the tanks have failed. So they've looked and they've said, right, the tanks are failing, what's the next thing? Right, air war. So you see, none of these sides, you know, nobody's backing down on this. Not a chance either side are backing down. And all you're going to see now is escalation after escalation, because as soon as this air war starts, that opens things up for a new dimension. Is the air war going to be successful? Are the F-16s capable of, you know, outmaneuvering the S-400, S-500 air defense system? Are the Ukrainians going to be able to overwhelm the air defenses sufficiently with cheaper drones? You know, only time will tell, guys, right? But it is a wild ride that we're on. Anyway, so this brings me to the Falkland Islands. So my friend sent me a link, like I said, and I'll put the link in the description. It's about the Falklands, but just quickly, for those of you who don't know, a quick history, 10 seconds history on the Falkland Islands. 1982, the Argentinians invaded the Falkland Islands. The Royal Marines did what they did best and surrendered, put their hands up, so the powers had to go back and take it back. The invasion started on the 2nd of April. That was the 1982, that was the attack. On the 5th of April, the UK set sail with a task force to go and take it back. Guys, 3 days. 3-day turnaround. That is unheard of. Why? Because it's all about Antarctica. Whoever controls the Falklands controls Antarctica. And the resources that are down there in Antarctica are unbelievable. You know, it's only recently that, you know, this oil has come. I'll talk about the oil later, but, you know, whoever controls whoever controls the Falklands controls 1/8 of Antarctica, roughly. But it's not the size, it's the location. It's the only place you can realistically land. It's the only place that's got a beach. Everywhere else around Antarctica has got, you know, it's just sheet ice and rocks. Whoever controls Antarctica controls the peninsula that you can land on. So by de facto, if you control the Falklands, you control Antarctica. Therefore, you control all the resources in Antarctica. So what's happened most recently then with Antarctica? I'll give this in chronological order. The Argentinians recently bought some F-16 fighters, and I said straight away, I know what they're for. You know, then the Russians announced that there were vast oil reserves, you know, in British territory. And now my friend sent me this link that I'll go on to and I'll talk about in a minute. So just consider, guys, I know I've said it before and I'll keep saying it, the amount of oil that the Russians have found, that doesn't mean that this is all that's there. This could just be, you know, the tip of the iceberg, no pun intended. But they have found enough oil for the UK to run, basically the UK could run on that oil, as I understand it, for 500 years. And guys, don't tell me people are not perking up and thinking, 500 years oil? Oh, that's a fair amount of money. What, and the UK's just got that little island there? Oh, right, okay. And Argentina's 400 miles away? Oh, and Argentina want to be part of BRICS? Oh, right. Guys, do not say that this is not happening behind closed doors, you know, back channels, you know, probably even in front channels. But anyway, guys, let me go into the article, because the article is absolutely... I actually laughed when I read the article, because they're literally telling us what they're going to do. So the article, I'll give you the headline, and then I'll read the article, and I'll pick out key points. So remember, you know, Argentina at the moment, they're in... you know, just consider their economy doesn't have vast amounts of cash reserves. So upgrading their military shouldn't be one of their priorities. So let's just start, guys. So Argentina eyes amphibious assault ships, tanks, and landing ships. So Rear Admiral, and then I'm not going to try and pronounce his name, of the Argentinian Navy confirmed that the Argentinian Navy is considering the acquisition of landing platform docks, landing ships, and tanks. Yeah, then he quote, we need... No, hang on, let me get... Hang on. Here we are. The interview also shed light on the broader context in which these acquisitions are being considered. So they're talking about like why do you want them, Argentina? Why do you want landing craft? The Argentinian Navy faces significant challenges relating to the aging of its operational assets, with the age of its average fleet around 40 years. So again, Argentina, financially, they're not in a situation that they need landing craft. You know, they don't have the finances for it, unless there's 500 years of oil somewhere that they could, you know, have a little snap on. That's my speculation, guys. Discussing the amphibious capabilities, you know, the guy explained the need for both, and then he names LPDs, LSTs, and LSTs, similar to the systems used in the Falklands War. Is critical for both direct beach landings. In contrast, the LPD is much larger, capable of carrying helicopters, equipment, providing significant logistical and operational support. There, guys, he said it. He literally said it. He said we need more stuff like we used in the Falklands War. Why? Actually, the Falklands War wasn't actually declared a war. You should say the Falklands conflict. But you see, guys, all right, they're buying all these landing craft. They're buying these, these systems to take the Falklands. Maybe I'm wrong, you know, maybe I'm just speculating. Go and look at Argentina's economy. They don't have the reserves in cash to be buying these things unless there's going to be a return on that investment, you know. So you double these up with the F-16s. If Argentina can have a sufficient amount of F-16s, remember, for the Argentinians to run sorties into the Falklands, they only have to, it's an 800-mile trip to go there and back. Obviously, with standoff munitions, it's a lot less. So, well, Argentina's bolstering its military with one sole purpose, you know, that could be, you know, they may not, guys. I may be totally wrong, but look at the things that are happening. Look at the amount of money. Look at the way the world's developing, right? I see in the next few years, Argentina, the Falklands, Antarctica becoming a massive new front, and everybody's going to be, you know, that's going to be the new thing. That's where everybody's going to be pushing, guys, all right? So I'll put the link to this in the bio, guys. You know, these Argentinians, they're saying it now. They're saying, yeah, well, these are the type of stuff we used in the Falklands conflict. You know, they're crucial. He literally says it. They're crucial for direct beach landings. Okay, so why would Argentina need the capacity to do direct beach landings? Where are they going to go? You know, these are short-range vessels. They're not, you know, it's not like they can, you know, do a direct beach landing. Where are they going to go with these vessels, guys, all right? When you look at a military and look what it's spending money on, that's kind of the way it's going to fight, because they're looking at a threat in the future. I can give you lots of examples, right, guys? But I mean, yeah, look at the so the villages in the UK that the British military practices fighting in built-up areas, or urban warfare, whatever you want to call it. They are literally built like Eastern European houses. Why? Because when they built them, they were looking at the Cold War. They were looking at this sort of tactics. You know, that's why they built them. So you can look at things and you can say, right, why are you building that? Why are you spending your money? And always look where people are spending their money. It doesn't matter about the politics. It doesn't matter about policy. Look where the money is going. And the money in Argentina has been spent on F-16s. Again, why? And it's being potentially now spent on amphibious vehicles for direct beach landings, like the ones we used in the Falklands. Guys, I hope that's giving you some. I hope that's giving you guys some food for thought as we're watching these events fold on the news, on the TV, you know, right in front of our eyes. Always remember, all right, doesn't really all this posturing and oh, we're doing this, we're doing that. Yes, we say this. We'll have this peace treaty. We'll do that. Look where they're spending their money. Where they're spending their money tells you more about, you know, the policies, because the politicians, they can always change their mind. You know, like when Rishi Sunak came up and he said, these Rwanda flights will 100% leave. They will definitely leave. He knew he wasn't going to be Prime Minister when this came about. He knew there'd be a Labour government because he already knew what was happening. You know, look where David Cameron went first off. I think his first trip when he was, if I should do a video, in fact. Guys, I'm going to do this now quickly, and I'm going to just say this now quickly, and I'll do another video on it. If David Cameron continues as Foreign Secretary when Labour win this election, the whole thing's a scam. Everything's planned, it's the whole scam, and we have no control over anything. That's just one to watch, all right? Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. I should probably do a video, highlighting my points on that. But guys, yeah, sorry. Hope this is giving you some, some insight, some food for thought as we see these things unfold. Guys, I am going to mag to grid, and I hope you have a great Sunday. Happy Father's Day as well.